Most founders get product market fit completely wrong, which costs them months of wasted work, as well as potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars down the drain. You've probably heard of the term product market fit, but what does that even mean and how do you ensure that you have that fit? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. Simply put, product market fit is essentially when you have a product and you're selling it to a market or a certain demographic, they are willing to pay for your product at a profitable enough price that makes it viable and sustainable for you to do it as a business. That's it. But here's where it goes wrong, and this is the mistake I see so often. Founders often build in isolation. They build what they think people need or what they think people want without truly talking to their ideal customers. And I know sometimes you may have the best intentions with that. You might be like, okay, well, I can save so much time if I just go straight to execution. But that is not time you want to be saving because it's going to give you so much stress and heartache later on down the road. And if you've ever poured your heart and soul into a product only to have crickets on launch day, you know exactly how gut-wrenching it is if you don't have product market fit and if you don't validate your idea beforehand. That's why crafting the right product and ensuring there's product market fit looks like co-creating the solution with your ideal customer. We have talked extensively about making sure you're solving a problem and not only that, the right problem. And so in this video, we're going to be talking about the solution and ensuring that there is a fit and you're creating the right solution for that right problem. When I was running my sustainable fashion consultancy, I started by doing a lot of one-on-one consulting with sustainable fashion brands. Over time though, I started repeating a lot of the same foundational items. And because my clients were paying me by the hour for these sessions, I thought it was a bit of a waste for their money to go towards me educating them on things that they should already know. So I decided to create a course so that all my clients go through it, get on the same page, and then when we jumped on consulting sessions together, we could go a lot deeper and customize it for their business. In theory, this made sense. And because I was putting together this course anyways, I thought I may as well sell it to people that couldn't afford my full consulting package. Another move that makes sense on paper. However, the devil is always in the details, and even the best strategies when executed poorly will still get poor results. As you can likely tell by where this is going, I decided that I knew everything I needed to know about my ideal customer because I was already working with them on a consulting basis. I got really confident and I was like, I don't need to do market research. I already know what they're struggling with. I already know what I need to put in this course because I felt so much time pressure to get this course out there because I was working with clients already. And also because I knew on a daily basis, I was turning people away because either I just didn't have enough capacity to work with them and or the budget just didn't work out. So there was just this need for this course. Because of that, I was like, I'm just going to fast track making it. I stuck my head down. I grinded for about 6 months, putting together all the course material, the slides, recording the videos, editing the videos, putting together worksheets, like all this stuff, this complete behemoth of a course. Because it was so big, I then was like, I think I'm going to chop it up into different topics. So I had a finance one, I had a product one, I had a marketing one, a sales one, et cetera, et cetera. And so it turned into this whole suite of courses. It grew from like this idea of, oh, I'm just going to put together some lesson videos into a suite of courses, which I feel like is every founder's journey, where you feel like you're going to start with something simple and then it becomes a whole thing. But anyways, it turned into a suite of courses. And then for some reason, I also decided to launch with the finance course, which is arguably the least sexy topic out of all of them. Plus, my target demographic was creative entrepreneurs, designers, people that wanted to start a fashion brand. So finance was also the least appealing to them. Based on all of that, it's probably not surprising to you that I launched this finance course and there was crickets. And when I tell you, I feel like my heart just fell out of my body onto the floor. Like it was so gut-wrenching because again, I had spent 6 months of my life doing this. And I knew that on paper, this made sense strategically. I could save time for my clients. I could ensure that they could get more out of our time working together. And from a business perspective, it would help me scale as well because I could take back some of my time. It just made sense on paper. But then again, the devil's in the details and in the execution. I decided to swallow my pride, go back to talking to my customers, showing them all the stuff I put into the course. And what I realized was that the material was still there. It was still very helpful, but I did need to just put it into one course. And then that way people had access to it right away. They could jump around, see what they needed. When I also marketed it and sold it as a complete transformation and complete package, it did really well as well. And so I was able to salvage it. So there is a happy ending to this story. But I was lucky, if I'm being frank, because I had quote unquote just sacrificed my time. But imagine I had a fashion brand and I didn't validate the product I was doing and I put my life savings into creating products. That would be horrific if I put my life savings into so much inventory that wasn't selling. That is why this is so important. My story still has a happy ending, but if you don't properly validate your products, especially if you're going to be sinking your life savings into inventory or you're sinking your life savings into development costs to make an app, you really need to make sure this is something that is going to be viable. With that being said, you might be now thinking, okay, I get it. I need to validate. I need to make sure this product market fit, but how do I do that? Well, I'll tell you. The first thing you need to do is get so crystal clear on who your ideal customer is. Who is that person? Get to know them inside and out, and you can leverage market research to do that. I always got my clients to do both surveys and interviews to be able to fully understand their customer. I would recommend starting with the survey because then you can get a mass amount of responses to figure out who your customer looks like. What is their demographic information? What's their age range? What's their education level? Where do they live? What kind of job do they have? What's their salary? All that stuff. And then you can also get psychographic information as well. What are their values? What are they struggling with right now? Really get to know your ideal customer. In the survey as well, you can dig deep on their problems. Back when I was working with sustainable fashion brands, I would always get my clients to ask, what's missing in your wardrobe? What are the pain points you have right now with your clothing? Things like that to really figure out what's going on. From all those surveys responses, you can collect it, sift through it, analyze it to figure out what the problem is, if it's a big enough problem, if it's the right problem. And then you go and do interviews where you can co-create your solution with your ideal customer. The key though is in these interviews, I don't want you to take the problem and be like, this is the solution I've created. What do you think? I really want you not to bias them. So how I would recommend my clients structure their interview was as follows: introduce themselves, make small talk, connect with them, and then talk about the problem that they might be facing and just validate again it's viable enough for you to solve it. From there, you turn the tables. You ask them, okay, if you're suffering with this thing right now or you're going through this thing right now, what can I create if the sky was the limit that would help you with that? You can see what they think, and by the end of it, once they've exhausted all their ideas, you can then present your solution and get their feedback. The reason why you don't want to present your solution from the beginning is because you don't want to bias them and you want to make sure that you're capturing all the ideas they may have. From there, you want to analyze all of your market research you have and make sure you're onto something. This is the initial fundamental part. I know it's not sexy doing a survey. I know it's not fun sitting there and doing interviews, but I do generally recommend you get as many survey responses as possible. Aim for at least 100. And then when it comes to the interviews, do anywhere between 15 to 30 to really ensure that you're onto something. The more you can do, the better. To help you put all of this together, I have a custom Notion workbook that you can access at the link down below. For this lesson, I have a sample market research survey form that you can leverage, as well as a potential interview guide too. I really want to give you everything you need to succeed. If you haven't already, download the custom Notion workbook down below, access it, go through it, and do this very imperative first step. Once you've completed all of those items, I will see you in the next video where we will start to put all of this together and talk about your product strategy.